In this lecture, we'll properly get a portrait camera displaying on our UI canvas. To get us kicked off, I've got a new Unity package that you can download and import inside of your project. You'll find that in your resources folder. Once you have that downloaded, let's just drag that directly into our assets folder. This will give us a couple different models already rigged up with their animations, as well as a single locker asset that we can use as kind of a background image for our camera. Let's go ahead and import everything in this Unity package. If you get a couple errors here in your console, no worries, go ahead and just clear them out. That's just saying that somewhere in the animator, I've gone ahead and deconstructed it a bit, and some sort of local file is missing. No worries, everything should be working as intended. If you'd like access to all the animations and the other characters, be sure to check it out on our website. For now, let's go ahead and drag this GDTV fleet characters folder into our imported assets folder. And then one more time, let's just drag that into our GDTV assets folder. Let's navigate into that folder. So GDTV assets, fleet characters, open that up. And we've got two different characters that you can go ahead and access to in characters, fleet command, prefabs, and you've got a commander and a navigator model that we can use for our two character voice lines to get a portrait being displayed on our UI canvas. If you were to click into either of these prefabs, with your commander selected, if you were to go into your animation window, you can see that it already has one pre-rigged up animation that we can use inside of this project. It's just a single idle animation, nothing else rigged up with our animator. Don't worry if this seems overwhelming for now, we'll cover this in much more detail in the further sections inside of this course. For now, all you really need to understand is that this animation was created in a 3D modeling program. I believe in our case, it was created in Blender and then imported into Unity so you can actually use it correctly using all of these overly convoluted keyframes. If you click play here with your commander selected, you can actually just see this basic idle animation playing through the entire loop. Something just to give us a little bit of movement in our portrait camera. Nice, let's head back into our main scene. Go back into our project folder. The only other thing that this package comes with, other than the other character also rigged up with the exact same idle animation, is just a single locker model. If you click the model here, open this up here, you can actually inspect it directly here in the inspector. Just something that we can use to give ourselves a little backdrop for our portrait characters. So how do we get this rigged up? We're going to need more than one camera in our main scene. And we can really create that wherever we'd like as long as it's out of the specific player's game view. So let's just create it over here way off in the distance. Let's grab one of our fleet characters, navigating back into the character prefabs folder. And I'll just go ahead and drag this second navigator model directly into my scene here. Let's go ahead and press F on our model just so we can zoom all the way in. Let's go ahead and child this to an empty game object. Let's go ahead and call this empty game object our fleet command. Inside of here, let's create one more empty game object, and I'm going to call this one Lieutenant Nepitz. You can name your character whatever you'd like. With Lieutenant Stephen spelled backwards, I'm just going to go ahead and drag in my navigator model directly to this empty game object, and inside here, we'd also like to create our second camera in our scene. So right-clicking Lieutenant Nepitz, I'm going to create a second camera, and which will immediately distort our game view camera because now our main scene has two base cameras and our game is a little bit confused on which camera to use. Well, for now, let's just go ahead and rename this our portrait camera. Scrolling down over here on the far right, if you have this output panel collapsed, go ahead and open this up here. And we can actually use this to properly get our camera being displayed on our UI canvas as an image. Before we go any further, you never really want two audio listeners in your scene with two different cameras, so let's go ahead and just delete this audio listener component entirely. Next up, let's get this camera directly pointing kind of towards the face of our character. So let's just swing that around 180 degrees. I'm going to make it precise directly in our inspector. Shift this up a little bit just to kind of get a nice close-up to our face. Somewhere right around there looks pretty good. However, you can see this kind of ugly terrain being distorted behind our camera. Let's go ahead and drag in our locker to kind of give a nice backdrop to our camera for our portrait. So heading back into Assets, Fleet Command, Locker, and we'll go ahead and just drag this locker model in directly underneath our Lieutenant Nepitz game object. Let's situate that, scrolling it a little bit back down, somewhere kind of around here. Even though it's technically supposed to be used as a locker, I think it kind of makes a nice backdrop for our image if we just stretch it out a bit here, stretch it out a bit there, maybe somewhere around there should look pretty good. For what you would think would make sense proportionally to some sort of just spaceship background. And instead of zooming in my camera a tad, I'm just going to actually use the field of view a little bit here. I think that gives us a little bit more accurate proportions to what a portrait camera might look like. I think somewhere around there looks pretty good. However, you've got this really ugly lighting in our game view. So let's actually add a point light camera and just shine it directly at his face. So again, right-clicking Lieutenant Nepitz, find lights and create a point light. And let's just kind of get that positioned in a way that just brightens up our portrait camera. I think that looks pretty good for now. If you were to click and play your game, except I don't want my audio to play, so I'm actually going to just disable my audio so it's not playing through the recording. I'm going to click this little audio icon here. Whenever we want to re-enable our audio, we'll just need to remember to come back here and re-enable our audio. So if you were to click play here, cool, we've got a nice little portrait camera. Next up, we just need to display it on our UI canvas. So let's go ahead and stop playing, and now we can incorporate a render texture to our camera directly. So that's where a render texture and a raw image on our UI canvas comes into play. Previously, we've only used an image component on our canvas. Let's create a raw image component on our UI canvas and see how that looks different. Let's go ahead and right-click our UI canvas, UI, and instead of image, we want to find raw image. So immediately you have the same sort of effect, something that just kind of looks like an empty image being directly displayed on our UI canvas, except instead of an image component, we actually have a raw image component, which has this texture field where we can actually drag in a render texture. You can then link up your camera to only display that render texture, and then it will properly be displayed on our UI canvas. So let's press F on our UI canvas. I'm going to find 2D game view just to kind of get it situated a little bit more properly. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and disable this dialog text just so we can kind of see things clearly. Because we're eventually going to have two different raw images, for organization, I'm going to create another empty game object directly on our UI canvas and just call this our portrait windows. And we'll just call this one Nepitz. With our portrait window selected, let's actually anchor that entire game object to the bottom right of our canvas. So clicking this rect transform image, I'm going to hold Alt and anchor it to the bottom right. You don't necessarily have to pivot it as well. It'll give the same result. Let's actually just make it a little bit bigger. At the moment, it seems a bit small. I'm going to press the hotkey T, which is this one over here, to modify the rect tool, and then just kind of drag this proportionately to get kind of the size we're looking for. I'm going to hold Shift to make sure that it actually stays proportionately as a square, and center this to something around right here for now. Except stating the obvious, you can actually see our image isn't scaling properly. Well, that's because if you were to go into the other rect transform as a child component, click this one here, you can see that it's actually just being designated to stay here in the middle. Well, we can actually stretch this using the very bottom right option. If you were to click this, you can actually see all anchors go towards every single corner of the border. Holding Alt, you can actually get it to automatically stretch as well. So now if you were to navigate back to your portrait window, you can see that it's scaling properly as we modify it. So let's just go ahead and cancel that back out. I think something like a width and height of, let's just call it 450 by 450 seems about right to me. Let's once again just anchor that directly in our bottom right to get it snapping directly. Let's just give it an equal padding on both the right and the bottom. So I'm looking over here in the inspector to see how much I actually need to change the values. Something like about there and about there. Let's just change that to negative 250 and 250 to have equal padding on both the right and the bottom. Next up, let's create a render texture for both this raw image and our camera. Let's head into Assets, create a new folder called Textures. Inside of our Textures folder, let's right-click, Create, and find the Rendering dropdown. On the Rendering dropdown, I think somewhere we should have a Render Texture option. Right here, sixth from the top, and we can call this Render Texture Nepitz Portrait. A render texture is a type of texture that Unity creates and updates during runtime, meaning that we can use this render texture to display what our camera sees and then display that on our UI canvas. With that created, let's actually hold off on modifying any settings directly on our render texture for now. Let's navigate to our portrait camera that was created previously. Scrolling back down to our output window, let's just drag this render texture that we just created directly into this window. Nice, we've got our main camera once again properly being displayed. Now that our secondary camera has an output texture assigned, we won't actually have that clashing in our game view. Next, let's once again select our portrait window Nepitz here in our game view and assign this same render texture into our texture field. Bada bing, bada boom, we've got portraits, baby. Let's click play and give it a whirl. you can now properly see this portrait window being properly displayed, including the idle animation that's actually going way off here in our scene view. I'm going to unselect 2D just while the game is still playing, find Lieutenant Nepitz, focus on him directly, and you can actually see this guy way off in the distance has his idle animation looping infinitely. With all the hard stuff out of the way, you can imagine all we really need to do next is get this raw image in our UI canvas properly being toggled back and forth in between active and inactive on our timeline, just as we've done several times before. Before we do that, let's just go ahead and make this game object inactive in our hierarchy and introduce you to this lecture's challenge. Go ahead and set up your second portrait camera for your second character. I'll name mine General Kier. As a reminder, you'll need a third camera in your scene, another render texture, and another raw image on your UI canvas. Pause the video, give it an honest effort, and I'll see you back here in a few moments to go through my solution together. Welcome back. Let's get creating. I'm going to go ahead and with the power of copy paste, duplicate almost everything we need, just changing a few different drop-in fields. Let's start with my portrait windows, duplicate this here, and I'm just going to go ahead and reactivate this one in my UI canvas. And I'll rename this game object in my inspector, Kier. Next, let's create a secondary texture. Now you could of course go ahead and do this completely from scratch, but for now I'm just going to actually duplicate this directly and rename this one Kier. Lastly, I can actually duplicate this entire game object in all of its child game objects as well. So with Lieutenant Nepitz selected, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D, duplicate everything, and rename it to General Kier. Our Commander-in-Chief. Let's slide that on over, give us a good amount of space, open this up, and change the navigator model. Fleet Command prefabs folder, and we'll use this commander model here. I'll just go ahead and drag that directly underneath my General Kier game object. And we've got a piggyback ride. Yes, amazing. I wasn't expecting that to look so good. Let's delete our navigator model. Actually, before we do that, let's just go ahead and align it properly, just to kind of get it more or less exactly overlapping. And now we've got some sort of mushed up Frankenstein. Let's go ahead and delete our navigator model. There we go. Let's just make sure this portrait camera underneath General Kier actually has the proper render texture assigned. I'll go ahead and lock that window to make sure it doesn't navigate away. Textures, and drag in this render texture here. If you see that snap back to what you think is the other camera, well, it's not actually the camera, it's just our raw image on our UI canvas, just not having the proper render texture assigned to it. Except I'm noticing a discrepancy in my naming convention, so for the sake of consistency, let's just call this Kier Portrait. And with that, I think we have it all properly rigged up. If you hit play, once again, we've got the exact same result. Lastly, all we need to do is properly make these two game objects in our hierarchy toggle back and forth in between active and inactive on our timeline. Let's go ahead and make them both inactive by default. And head back into our master timeline. Let's lock this window here, give ourselves a little bit more space, and scroll down to the very bottom. I think I can just zoom out a tad. And underneath our voice lines track group, right-click, create another control track. We can rename this one dialogue text, and we can rename this one portrait windows. Next, we can actually just directly drag in these game objects as we've become accustomed to. We just need to make sure that Nepitz lines up with his voice lines and Kier lines up with his voice lines. So dragging in Nepitz to the first one, I'll just make sure that's properly aligned, and I'll do that for the remaining 8 as well. And with that, I think I'm set to go. Let's go ahead and give that a play just to see what it looks like. Let's save that in our timeline. I'm going to turn my audio back on.
Crikey, looks like you could use a hand. Never thought I'd see your face around here, General.
Nice, looks like we're all set to go there. However, I'm noticing just a couple more things. The first one, stating the obvious, our text is kind of overlapping with our portrait camera. Let's click our UI canvas, press F to center on it. I'll toggle back to 2D view just so we can see things properly. Make our dialogue text active once again in our hierarchy just so we can actually see both. I'm going to also toggle on one of our portrait windows just so we can see everything properly. And then I'm going to realign my dialogue text to just be properly aligned to the right instead of the center, and then just shove it against this portrait window here. So with our dialogue text selected, we can actually just scroll this over here this way, kind of get it aligned next to our portrait window. And then instead of aligning it to the center, just align it to the right. I'm going to line it up just a little bit more on the bottom so the padding is exactly the same as the portrait window. And then I think we just need to shrink our font size down just a tad. Let's call it 44, I think looks about right. And because we know this is our longest voice line in this project, we know it'll actually never overlap with our canvas. You could shrink this in over here, but because it's aligned to the right, it won't really ever actually matter. So I'll just kind of keep it overlapping with our canvas over here to the bottom left. This last one might be a little bit tricky to see, but you might actually be wondering why this camera looks a little bit low resolution. You can change that by going into your render textures. So assets, textures. If you were to click this render texture and actually up the size resolution, say to something like twice as much, in other words, 512 by 512, you can actually see that resolution increase. Let's go ahead and do that for both render textures. 512 by 512. I find that on my computer and my current resolution that I'm recording at, if you were to increase this further, it doesn't actually make much of a difference. So for now, I'm actually pretty satisfied with that result. That was a lot we covered in this specific lecture. When you're ready to move on, I'll see you on the next one.